Inheriting a passion for chocolate making as a fifth-generation family member, Víctor Ceano Savall from Spain chose Vietnam to start his business. Admiring the cultural beauty and people here, Víctor wanted to explore, connect, and aspire to raise Vietnam's profile to the world in his own unique way.
Thì rất là thích, mà cái đó là kỳ công lắm. Thấy làm một cái kích cỡ nó nhỏ nhưng mà nó đầy đủ cái chi tiết, rất là hay lắm.
Tôi có từng nghe anh Víctor nói là anh ấy rất yêu Đà Nẵng và rất yêu Việt Nam. Anh ấy muốn phát triển sô-cô-la ở Việt Nam.
So we define everything we learn in Vietnam and we love through the chocolates.
Hello and welcome to Talk Vietnam. After traveling to Vietnam many a times with his family, Víctor Savall has gradually developed a genuine love and connection to the country and is constantly fascinated by Vietnamese ingredients and craftsmanship. Now living in Danang, Víctor has continued his grandfather's legacy of artisanal tradition and quality, combining with locally grown natural products from Vietnam to create beautiful chocolate products. And now let's listen to Víctor Savall and his story in today's Talk Vietnam. So thank you so much, Víctor, for joining us today.
It was a pleasure to be here today.
Right, and so your family has a 5th generation of making chocolate and candies, and you have decided to bring it over to Vietnam. And so how is that the case?
Yes, everything started when I was a kid. I learned from my grandfather how to make chocolates and cakes and pastry, and I started getting the passion from my grandfather. I've been learning and learning during my childhood. And then at some point I was connected to Vietnam because we had a family trip to Hoi An, and we like it very much, so we came back every summer.
Wow.
This is the way how everything it fits together.
And how long was each trip to Hoi An last for?
The first year we traveled all Vietnam, it took 1 month, and since then every summer we came 1 month to Hoi An.
Mm-hmm. What is it about Vietnam that draws you to make chocolate here?
There is a very interesting fact that it was a bit of casualty, that Vietnam is producing one of the best cacaos in the world, so everything connected. And at the moment that I decided to come here, I started discovering the traditional chocolate, and I like it really much.
Yeah. So aside from the cocoa beans that you mentioned that are Vietnam that has the best growing cocoa beans in the world, right? What other ingredients did you find interesting here?
Cashew nut is also a very special ingredient in Vietnam, and specifically because they are bigger and the flavor is really special compared to other countries that produce cashew nut. We have matcha, green tea made in Sapa. We have very beautiful peanuts grown in Quang Nam. Ginger. There is a really big list of very interesting ingredients.
So can you tell me the kind of differences or the special things about Vietnamese cocoa beans that are very different from cocoa beans you can find in other regions in the world?
Vietnam cocoa beans in the world has been discovered around the 90s and the 2000s. And when the chefs in Europe start trying it, they feel the real difference in how they touch. One of the points is the citric notes and the fruity notes of the cacao that is not easy to find, and the fact that the cacao has been preserved during 100 years without any manipulating to the plants, so the quality it's like the same as it was 100 years ago.
Wow.
So this makes a very special cocoa beans here.
Do you have any like special stories or like memories that are attached to all of these research that you did all across Vietnam?
Yes.
Say going to Dong Nai, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had several visits to the cacao fields, and actually the first cacao beans that I see growing, it was in Vietnam, and it's a really, after working since I'm a very little kid with chocolate and see how the cacao grows, it's a really touching moment. It's kind of magic because suddenly it feels like coming back to the origin of the chocolate. So this was really nice. The interesting part of the cocoa beans in Vietnam is that they are grown in small farms controlled by families, and they used to be surrounded by fruit trees. These fruit trees like coconut, like longan, like dragon fruit, it also brings through the soil the essence of the fruit. So it's a really nice environment to grow the high quality cacao that we want. When I came to Vietnam, following my family ethics and ideas, I wanted to use with local ingredients. So what I did is all the recipes I learned from my grandfather, I translated with the Vietnamese ingredients. What I love about being in Vietnam is that all the exotic products that they are in Barcelona, they are very far away, here are growing next to us. So for example, we have ginger, we have turmeric, we have 1,000 of spices. It gives a really high end to the chocolate, it really rises all the flavors.
And how has the reception been to your chocolates?
We managed to create a line of products that it's loved by locals, it's loved by Asian tourists, it's loved by Europeans. So we managed to get a new thing that is appreciated from all the world.
Victor's chocolatier skills stem from the traditional chocolate making knowledge that he learned from his grandfather. Having visited Vietnam multiple times with his family since childhood, Victor grew attached to the country. He lives in Danang and is continuing his grandfather's legacy by upholding the family's traditional craft, creating delicious and visually appealing chocolates using the best natural ingredients grown in various Vietnamese localities. In 2016, Victor established the Savall Company, formerly known as Pop Gap, specializing in candy and chocolate production in Danang. He started his business with sweet candies and chocolate bars infused with passion and love.
Làm việc với Victor được 6 năm thì anh ấy là một người năng động, rất là trẻ trung, cũng như là anh ấy cũng có một khiếu hài hước, cũng giúp mọi người cũng hòa đồng với nhau hơn. Tôi có từng nghe anh Victor nói là anh ấy rất yêu Đà Nẵng và rất yêu Việt Nam. Anh ấy muốn phát triển sô-cô-la ở Việt Nam. Người Việt Nam rất là hòa đồng và có sự yêu thương giữa chúng tôi. Chúng tôi cũng cho anh ấy thấy được là người Việt Nam là một người hiếu khách, cũng như là những người rất siêng năng làm việc, cũng như là hợp tác với anh ấy rất nhiều.
Applying the knowledge and skills taught by his grandfather when he lived in Spain, Victor has improvised and created unique chocolates and mung bean fillings, green tea and coconut flavors, and more. Chocolate must be made with specific flavors and quite strict requirements, so it's a painstaking process. It requires elaborate techniques, so Victor often makes them by hand. According to him, making chocolate the traditional way provides more time to care for each piece, so the products are not identical. Each of them will have its own flavor. Though applying traditional methods, Victor uses modern technology for packaging and molding chocolate. He receives enthusiastic support from his father, who is a computer engineer. After carefully discussing product shapes with his son, Victor's father designs chocolate molds to match his design and ideas. Notably, Vietnam's architectural and cultural landmarks have always been a source of creative inspiration for Victor and his father.
Vietnam is a beautiful country, and there are many things since the Cham culture or traditional buildings or even plants. We get inspired by many local things. Customers like very much because they come to Vietnam for holidays. They want to understand a little bit of the culture of Vietnam. So we like very much to help them see special things that they can find in Vietnam, and they like very much to have them, and even to bring our chocolates home to show their relatives that they have been in Vietnam. This is Victor's passion. I work with computers. I try to help. Well, I help him. We work together. But Victor's passion has always been chocolate and cake. So it's been very natural to make this business.
Victor and his associates spend a lot of time, passion, and effort to produce delicious and visually appealing chocolates. The products they create are a source of pride and a family tradition and reflect Victor's unique creativity and cultural promotion.
Where can people find your products aside from, in Vietnam?
We customize each product, flavor and shape, to be served in the 5-star resorts in Vietnam. And then we also do some corporative gifts for companies, like we work with Piaggio, we make a product for Dior.
And all of these are quite, high-end products, right? And aside from in Vietnam, do you happen to export these products elsewhere?
Yes, actually now we are exporting to Japan, and we are increasing the shippings there, and we are starting to open channels to export to Singapore. So our interest, what we are doing now, we are very well stable in Vietnam, and we want to open new markets around Asia.
How is your chocolate business different from other, foreign chocolate businesses that come to Vietnam?
Yes. So our approach is that we discovered Vietnam. I discovered Vietnam when I was 8-9 years old. So I started getting familiar with Vietnamese ingredients. And as a pastry chef, as a chocolatier, I wanted to bring the story of my family, the recipes of my family, and work it with the Vietnamese ingredients. So it was a very natural way to me to explain about the Vietnamese ingredients through my language, that it's the pastry made in Barcelona.
Yes.
So the idea is that instead of producing big quantities of chocolate, we have an artisanal workshop. We work with high-end ingredients, and all the mind of the company is through highlight ingredients, and to make the final product interesting and explain the story that we want.
And how many products since then have you developed?
Now we have infinite products because we are creating products every day. Most of it is customized, but we have in our price list, we have around 100 products with different packaging and different shapes.
And now I want to mention the love and care that you put into these chocolates, and more specifically your love of Vietnam, by using a lot of the Vietnamese imagery into like shaping all these chocolates. So could you tell me some of the designs, Vietnamese designs that you're most proud of?
Yes.
And if you could like show it, to the audience as
sure.
well.
I love very much the Japanese bridge. So the Japanese bridge of Hoi An.
Yes.
It was one of the first buildings that we saw and we liked when we were in Hoi An. And we created in chocolate. This one is actually a ceramic, a replicant ceramic like they do in Japan.
Yeah.
So this is one of the products I'm more proud. So in general, the idea is to explain a story through the chocolates. So we define everything we learn in Vietnam and we love through the chocolates in a way that we can explain a story. So people, they don't only eat a chocolate bar, but they have a story behind. And people that come to Vietnam, they can also learn things at the same time they are eating chocolate.
Yeah.
So this is the whole idea that bring this together. Actually, the Champa chocolate, it's one of the chocolates that reflect very much this idea.
Yes.
So in this case, we have the pineapple that is growing in Quang Nam area, actually near Mison. We have the cashew nut chocolate. We have the ginger chocolate that is also sourced in Quang Nam, and the banana and cocoa nibs. So each different figure, it has a different flavor, and most of the flavors are around Mison.
Oh.
So it actually explains the story not only through the shapes and the design, but also through the flavors.
Oh yeah. So that is very special, and also I think that is a very smart way to actually promote the local ingredients of that place as well. I just want to ask, how long does it take for you to actually like research and like make sure that people understand this? Do you, when you ship this product, do you send it with like a card or like a description of the region itself? So can you tell me more about that?
Yes, our flags, they are the Vietnamese ingredients and the story of my family. So through the stories, the text that we have in the packaging, we explain all this. So it's something that we try to make the people understand what's special of the product and what distinguishes from other products in the market.
Victor's maternal family has been making chocolate for 5 generations. The family store Renye is located in the center of Barcelona and has become a city icon since it opened in 1892. Growing up exposed to sweet flavors mixed with the slight bitterness of chocolate, Victor developed a love for confectionery and always wanted to pursue his family's tradition. When he settled in Vietnam in 2014, Victor decided to start a business based on his family's traditional chocolate-making craft. Along with his love for Vietnam and its people, he researched and innovated to honor and promote its beauty through unique chocolate products featuring images of famous Vietnamese landmarks such as the Dragon Bridge, Hội An Japanese Bridge, lanterns, and ancient decorative patterns. Each chocolate in his range contains the passion and love that Victor wishes to dedicate to tourists and international friends visiting Vietnam.
Tell me about your experience in Vietnam. You've been to Vietnam multiple times, and how does that love gradually develop?
Vietnam, Hoi An in particular, it became like our summer holiday place. So for my brother and me, it was the place where we escaped after the school. So here we were running around Hoi An, we had many friends there. We started discovering the food. So it was very easily for us to fall in love. And there was a feeling of and tranquility and a feeling of being able to go out and freely.
Yes.
As a young kid, so it was really nice for us.
Yeah, so it seems like it's quite a robust business activities you got for your own business, because like I heard that right from the beginning you already got into like a 5-star hotel.
Yes.
So what do you have to comment on the business environment here in Danang City?
So it's a pleasure to be in Danang. So to be here and to be connected already with the management people as a friend, it was very nice for us to grow and to be able to exchange products, exchange ideas, and create the lines that we are doing.
Yeah, and do you receive a lot of like assistance and help from maybe other business community as well as the local governments?
We collaborate continuously with the local government and especially with the town government, with the community, and we are connected and doing.
Okay, so do you have any comments to give people who are seeking business opportunities here in Danang City or in Vietnam in general?
And then Vietnam is a very beautiful country, and it's really nice to work and live here. There is some challenge that can be for the language and for the way to set up the company, but I had a really great time here, and it was a pleasure for me to be all these years and be able to develop what I know.
Talk Vietnam crew had the opportunity to visit Victor's store in Danang to learn how to make uniquely shaped chocolates.
Could you explain to us like what kind of ingredients we have currently on the table?
To make dark chocolate, you only need 3 ingredients. You need cocoa beans, that is the seeds of the cacao, has been fermented, dried, roasted and peeled. Then we have the cacao butter. The cacao butter is the oil extracted from the beans once they are already roasted.
Wow.
And the sugar.
So where did you source this cocoa beans from?
These cocoa beans are from a farm in Dom Nai in the south of Vietnam.
Oh, that's interesting. Can I smell it a little bit?
Of course.
Actually, coffee is like more bitter than cocoa beans. So we've mentioned before that you are continuing your grandfather's legacy of making chocolate in Barcelona.
Yes.
And now that you have brought it back here to Vietnam, and more specifically Danang, and working with Vietnamese ingredients, do you see there's a difference between the cocoa bean like sourced from elsewhere and from Vietnam?
Yes, I'm very happy to have arrived to Vietnam because cacao beans from Vietnam are one of the best in the world.
Oh, wow.
And they have very special characteristics like acidity, fruity. Once all the process is well done.
After grinding the cocoa beans, Victor will now put them into a refining machine to create liquid chocolate. This process usually takes 2 to 3 days for the chocolate to become smooth and velvety. This is the preparation step to make a delicious chocolate bar.
Is there any difference between like foreign cocoa beans and Vietnamese cocoa beans when it comes to the stage?
Cocoa beans has a very special thing that there has been more than 100 years without any manipulation from the humans. So the cacao arrived here from 120 years ago, around the first of 19th century.
Wow.
And
So it's quite primitive.
so now what we're going to do?
Victor shared with us the method of tempering chocolate by pouring melted chocolate on a cool marble surface. He uses a spatula to continuously mix and stir the chocolate to help the chocolate and cocoa butter transform into a stable solid form.
So after, when it's
Victor explains that it's the timing, temperature, any movement that will create the desired chocolate texture, such as achieving the right shine, smoothness, flavor, and hardness. After tempering, the chocolate is poured into molds to shape, cool, ready to be made into the final product.
This chocolate bar is the effort after 14 days. So 14 days from the beginning when we take all of these ingredients, grind it, put it together, and this is the result. And so Victor, what should we look for in a good chocolate form?
You should get the shiny color, as you can see here, and then when you break it, you will hear a snap.
Okay.
That means that the cocoa butter has been well crystallized.
I'm just gonna, snap a little bit off and see how it goes. Okay, I'm gonna hear the sound of this. Oh, yep. Okay, I'm gonna try it now. Wow.
You can feel the flavors,
Ooh.
right?
Yes. So I tasted the nib of the chocolate at the beginning. It's really well preserved here. I can taste the acidity, the sweetness, and also like the aroma just like coating
Yes.
the entire palate.
The cacao butter helps.
Through this interesting experience with Victor, we also gained a deeper understanding of his passion and dedication for the chocolates that he makes by hand here in Vietnam, a place with abundant and high-quality ingredients.
What do you love best about living in Danang?
And Danang has a quality compared to Hanoi and Saigon. It's that there is no traffic jam. There is the beach, there is a mountain that it reminds us like Barcelona. And the food is amazing in central Vietnam. I enjoy a lot local Vietnamese food. And the people, all my friends, all our neighbors, we established a really nice relation. And it's the way to be, it's based on happiness and nice feeling, nice vibes. So I really enjoy here, and it was really comfortable to grow the business here and to hang out around and to have friends.
Yeah, so for you it feels like moving from home to home, right? Because like Barcelona is also kind of like having tropical climate. Here's the same. Barcelona also
During summertime and spring, the climate is really similar. The rain, we don't have as much rain as here in Barcelona, but all the feeling of the beach, we have the way on the beach, we have the mountain next to the Soncha. It's similar to Montjuïc, that is a mountain in Barcelona right next to the beach also. So there is these touches of familiarity that we like it very much.
Yeah. Is it wrong to say that the moment you touched down in Vietnam and more specifically Da Nang, you felt home immediately, or is it that kind of relationship has to grow throughout the years?
The first impression, the first trip we did, for example, when I went down the airport and all the hot weather hit on my face, it was July, and first it was a little bit like a big change. When we were to the market, there was some smells like mam tom that it was like really strong, but suddenly all these feelings it become familiar. So suddenly year after year coming back to the market, it became like a familiar place, a familiar smell, and even these things that they were more different, like the extreme weather, the strong smell in the market, it became like a familiar home environment.
You just previously mentioned that you develop a very good relationship with your neighbors and the communities around them. Feels like family. So can you elaborate more on that? Like how does the community feels like family to you? Do you talk to your neighbors a lot?
Yes. Actually, when we opened the company, we started going to a coffee shop that is right next in front of the company, and we met the family of the coffee. That it was one of our first friends in Danang, and that coffee shop we are going every day since 2016, and the family of the coffee shop it becomes really close to us.
Right.
We are sharing all the time, coffee, morning and afternoon, and talking.
And even chocolate as well.
Yeah, sure. We change coffee for chocolate.
And also all your staffs are Vietnamese as well.
Yes.
And how do you communicate with them?
Through the years, I learned to communicate in Vietnamese.
So if I had to tell you to describe your love of Vietnam in Vietnamese, would you be able to do that?
I can say some things in Vietnamese.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Tôi yêu Việt Nam và tôi rất vui sống ở Việt Nam. Tôi yêu anh của Việt Nam và tình người của Việt Nam.
A lot of people would like really appreciate these, kind of kind gestures, because you've lived in Vietnam for about how many years now?
I lived for 10 years. We started coming in 2004, so already 20 years coming to Vietnam. And yes, that's 10 years. It's the time I've been established continuously in Vietnam.
Yeah, and if there is one kind of food that you would love to eat in Vietnam for the rest of your life, and you can only eat that kind of food, what is that?
I think I would choose bánh canh cá lóc. I like it very much.
Yeah, is there anything special about that? Is it remind you of home?
I like the broth and the combination between seafood and beef. That it's something very common in also my country.
Yeah.
And I love the fish, and the texture of the noodles are really special.
Yeah.
So I like it especially.
So it seems like a lot of your experience in Vietnam has been very integral to your growth as a human being and also as a business owner. In what way does Vietnam inspire you in your work?
Yes, in every ways at the end, because all the people, the way that the culture of Vietnam, even when we discover the ceramics, the baskets, the way that it's present the food, there is a tradition here to eat fruit and salt, for example. The combination with salt and chocolate, it's really interesting.
Wow.
So there is all this that I reflected to our products and the way we do.
So what is it that you want people, especially foreigners who have never been to Vietnam before, or people who have tasted your products in countries elsewhere, to receive when tasting your products?
I like to receive the real flavor, like when we have a ginger chocolate, that we like to highlight the ginger touch, because for me ginger is something really part of Vietnamese cuisine and of Vietnamese drinks, and so flavors like this, instead of leave it low, I like to highlight and use it the same way as it's used in the Vietnamese cuisine. I'm really proud about Vietnamese ingredients, and I'm really happy to share it around the world. And I like to show I think Vietnam has a really, really special good ingredients, and I like to show that ones to people that come here. So everything we do at the end is showing the way how Vietnamese ingredients can be used and the way they can be tasted. So maybe we are starting people to discover some ingredients that after they will consume in different ways, but they already try it in our chocolates.
Yeah, so aside from just like watching Vietnam alone, you can also taste Vietnam in a way. Yeah.
To vividly represent traditional Vietnamese culture in his products, Victor went to great lengths to visit famous locations in central Vietnam, such as the Dragon Bridge in Da Nang City and the Japanese Bridge in Hoi An, to study the impressive details of these architectural wonders. He also spent considerable time researching in the Da Nang Fine Arts Museum and the Da Nang Museum of Cham Sculpture to find inspiration and useful information to translate characteristic images and graceful carvings from ancient culture into chocolate. These chocolates have quality flavors and bear the imagery of Vietnam, a country Victor has come to love and establish a deep connection with.
Do you plan to develop new products that would help promote the image or the storytelling of Vietnam to the world?
Yes.
Is there any kind of ideas that's brewing in your head as you're walking through your days?
Yes, now we are working on a very special collection of flowers. So the idea is we make a chocolate box made of flower-shaped bonbons. So the idea is that people, they give flowers, people, they give chocolate. So if we make the chocolate flowers, we want to get that on the common gift for our customers. So when people have a nice gift to do, they have this chocolate flower box. So they relate the flowers to the gift, and it can be a VIP gift for special friends. There is always more to discover, and I'm always discovering new ingredients. I think the agriculture in Vietnam is really interesting, and it's developing in a really nice way. And every month I discover a new producer in Dalat or in another place. So I'm continuously willing to travel around Vietnam and visit farms, visit production places, so we can increase our line of ingredients.
Yeah, I just want to ask in more details about your trips around Vietnam. So how many localities or provinces have you visited?
The first time we traveled Vietnam, we traveled through most of all the places. We've been in Nha Trang, we've been in Dalat, we've been in Ha Long Bay. And now my trips are continuously to Saigon and Hanoi to visit my customer in the hotels, and then around Hoi An and Quang Nam I visit the farms where we buy the products from there. And when I'm in Saigon, I'm closer to the chocolate field, so we can escape there.
Yeah. So do you have like a number of like the provinces you have visited? Maybe like 20, 30?
Visit maybe 15 or 17.
Yeah, your chocolate products.
Yes.
How many ingredients have you been able to incorporate into your
quite
chocolate?
a lot of them. There is
Do you
many
have
ways to incorporate, but I would say in total 40, 50.
50, like
Yes.
50.
Yes.
Oh wow.
There has been testings, and some products become a products, and products just stay in the library until they are ready.
Yeah.
And
What is the most easy Vietnamese ingredients for you to work with in comparison to like others? And what's the hardest?
There is like natural pairings, like coffee and chocolate, even whiskey and chocolate, or riu with chocolate.
Yeah.
There is some pairings that they are really close to the chocolate. We have also cinnamon, it works with chocolate very well, citrix. There is other ones that they are more challenging to incorporate. So we play with both of them.
You know, aside from discovering the ingredients themselves, what do you feel about the people? Because you're traveling to like quite a few
Yes.
provinces already. What is your experience with Vietnamese people in general?
I think as a society it's really helpful, and there is a spirit of being happy and positiveness that you cannot find that in Europe as much as here. And it's really comfortable to travel, to work, to go for a coffee, to have always a nice conversation, a nice smile. And it's something that is special from Vietnam.
Yeah, families, it seems like you're very like family oriented, I believe. So how do you feel like coming over to Vietnam, which is another culture that is also family oriented?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Spain and Vietnam, they have many similarities, especially in the family way to be, how the family is together, how we daily have lunch and dinner together, how we have, and this is something that we reflect, and it really became really close to me.
Yeah. Is it something that you feel immediately when you first traveled here?
There is all this sharing of food, the small dishes in the table where everyone shares. We have the tapas in Barcelona. There is something really common in Barcelona and Spain, that is taking a nap after lunch. And here it's also totally included. The weather in South Spain is really hot, so we have all this time of hotness that we like to be taking a nap.
Yes.
So there is actually many similarities. Chào chị.
Ơi, chào Victor.
Có bánh canh chúa.
Có rồi.
Có bánh canh cá lóc không?
Không có cá lóc, chỉ có xương chả thôi.
Ok, một xương chả.
Victor usually starts his morning with a bowl of his favorite bánh canh, noodle soup. After 8 years in Danang, he has fallen in love with traditional Vietnamese cuisine and has become a close friend with the local vendors.
Tôi biết Victor là 5-6 năm rồi. Từ hồi biết Victor tới đây là thì thân thiện vui vẻ lắm. Bạn thích ăn bánh canh với lại bánh mì. Đi qua đi lại lúc nào cũng chào.
Victor also has close-knit neighbors with whom he is willing to share his ideas and creative achievements because he considers them family. Perhaps this is what makes him love Vietnam even more.
Mỗi lần mà sáng tác ra được một cái kiểu gì đó là Victor cũng khoe, là Victor lại sang để mà nhờ chú nếm thử rồi xem thử. Tôi là người là đừng nếm nhiều nhất. Chỉ cần một lần thôi là mình nhớ được cái hương vị đó, cái loại đó là như thế nào. Thì rất là thích. Mà cái đó nó kỳ công lắm. Thấy làm một cái kích cỡ nó nhỏ nhưng mà nó đầy đủ cái chi tiết, rất là hay lắm. Không làm ở chỗ khác mà lại làm ở đây thì Victor bảo có cái mến của cái đất Đà Nẵng, chứng tỏ là bạn ấy rất yêu cái vùng đất Đà Nẵng này, gắn bó với đất Đà Nẵng này.
In Victor's heart, every landscape and the very friendly and approachable Vietnamese people have become endearing and lovable. He has truly come to consider this place his home, his second homeland, where he wants to stay, connect, and love.
It seems like Vietnam is going to be your destination for quite a while. Is there any, future after Vietnam, or is Vietnam going to be like a long-term project?
Yeah, so my idea is in Vietnam is going to be my long-term project. I'm based here, but we are starting to export in other cities in Asia, and I'm doing more trips to Barcelona. So I want to become a bit of ambassador of Vietnamese products in Barcelona, and at the same time culture, the spirit from chefs in Barcelona, bring it to Vietnam. So I'm establishing this bridge between Barcelona and Danang, Vietnam and Spain, in events and in procedures and in trying to introduce people from one place to other.
Yeah. So how has that how has that endeavors coming along? Do you have any like specific events that you have done, and what are some of the memories that you remember from doing those activities?
So, for example, I'm in touch with one of the best pastry chefs in the world, actually recognized, is called Jordi Roca. And when I came last time to Barcelona, I made a special product for him made with Vietnamese chocolate and introduced it to him. And I'm in touch with several good pastry chefs in Barcelona. And I bring them the ingredients from here, the cacao nibs, in a way that I can spread the word of the Vietnamese ingredients.
And how are people receiving towards that cocoa nibs?
They love it, and they love the cashew nuts, they love the cacao, they love the way that we elaborate it. So the impression is always really good and really well appreciated.
What is your hope for Vietnamese ingredients and spices? The kind of ingredients that you have come across.
Yes.
What is your hope for them in the future of culinary in the world?
Yes, my hope is to make famous, like to bring and show the high quality farmers, the high quality products that they are done properly, in a way that it can keep going, it can keep growing all the agriculture, well focused with high quality procedures. So this is something that I'm sure in Barcelona that we have one of the best gastronomy in the world. Incorporating Vietnamese ingredient, it will be a win-win for both parts.
Yeah. If you want to send a message to anyone through this program, or if you want to say anything in your heart that you want to share to the audience, you can say it to the camera if you can.
So it was, for me, it's been a pleasure to live in Vietnam all these years. I invite everyone that didn't came to come here, discover the culture, discover the flavors, discover the way that the cuisine is going. And I really, really like it. And I think there is all different places to discover and all realities that you never seen before. And it can really impress you and make you a wow effect.
Well, thank you so much, Víctor Ceano, for all of the message, and the stories that you share. I'm sure it's going to be very inspiring for those who maybe want to settle in Vietnam and possibly opening a small business that could potentially bridge the gap between different cultures and connecting Vietnam, traditions and culture to the world. And I think that is all that we have for today's Talk Vietnam. Víctor Cevall's stories has certainly been very inspiring, especially to those who want to explore part of Danang in the way that is unique to your own. And that is it. And thank you so much for watching. See you on the next episode with more of our inspiring guests.